Oh, and I'm just going to break it like so, just to see if there's a nice crunch, and there is. So I'm really pleased with that. Let's see how it tastes now. That's really yummy. You can taste the orange right at the end when you swallow the biscuit, and you can sort of taste the cinnamon as well. It's delicious. So I'm really looking forward. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Vivi's Kitchen, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis, and in today's video I want to share with you how to make my delicious orange and sweet cinnamon biscuits or cookies. As I just mentioned, today I'm going to share with you how to make my delicious orange and sweet cinnamon biscuits or cookies, depending on which continent you're standing. I've prepared all of my ingredients, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get started. So in this bowl here I have about 200 grams of gluten-free oats. I have a slight gluten intolerance, so I always use gluten-free oats, but you don't have to use gluten-free oats. Normal jumbo oats or any sort of oats you can get is fine. And then I also have about 200 grams of rice flour in this bowl. If you can't get rice flour, then you can use plain flour if you want to. As I said, I have a slight gluten intolerance, so I always like to use alternatives, and I've found rice flour to be a great alternative. And then I also have in this bowl here 1 tablespoon of ground sweet cinnamon. Again, if you can't get ground sweet cinnamon, then you could use just cinnamon if you want to, but ground sweet cinnamon has a lovely sweet flavour to it, which we all love. I know some people don't like cinnamon at all, so you could leave it out if you wanted to, but we love it. And we also love biscuits and cookies. We hardly ever buy them from the supermarket now. So yes, anyway, I've got to go and get a spoon for this, so I'm back in a mo. And then I've just got to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder to the mixture as well. And then all I'm going to simply do is put the lid on and blend all of these ingredients together. But before I do, if you do enjoy videos like this one and you want to see more, then please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And also, if you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a big thumbs up, and then I'll know to make more content like this one in the future as well. So now I'm going to blend all of these ingredients together. Those ingredients together until they have formed a flour, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into a large mixing bowl, and I'm going to set the bowl aside. So I've dealt with my dry ingredients, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with my wet ingredients. I've set my dry ingredients aside, and as I said, now I'm going to deal with the wet ingredients. So for this I have about 150 grams of butter, and I took the butter out of the fridge about 2 hours before I was going to use it, and that's just basically to soften it. Depending on which country you're in, if you're in a really warm country, then you probably won't need 2 hours. It is quite a warm day today, so I probably didn't need 2 hours, but I just gave it 2 hours because this is Britain and it can turn so cold in an instant, if you ask me. So yes, so that's why I got it out 2 hours before. And then I'm going to add in about 150 grams of coconut sugar. You don't have to use coconut sugar, I just prefer it because it slips through the liver slightly easier than refined sugar does. So if you can get coconut sugar, it is a great sugar to have as an alternative. My son absolutely loves it as well. He would eat that all day long if he could, just by itself, but Mummy won't let him. So anyway, I'm going to cream the butter and the sugar together. As you can see, I have creamed the butter and the sugar together. I'm going to add a little bit of orange juice to the butter and the sugar now. So I have squeezed the juice of one whole orange and I have zested it as well. So I've taken a little bit of the skin off and that is in with the orange juice. And I'm simply going to pour a little bit in because I don't want my biscuit mixture too wet. I'd like it quite firm and dry so that I can roll it out and make it into nice even biscuits. So I am just going to add a little bit, and then if I need any more, I have it ready. So I'm just going to whisk these ingredients together now. Now I'm going to mix the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients together. So I'm just going to add the wet ingredients to the mixing bowl like so. And then once I've added all of this, I will mix these ingredients together like so. And I'm going to mix the flour mixture and the butter mixture, the cream, butter, sugar and orange juice together until it forms a dough ball. The biscuit dough mixture has formed a nice ball, so I didn't need to use any more orange juice in this. It is perfect. It is the perfect consistency to make biscuits with. But if you do need to, then just add it bit by bit just to see how it goes. And if your consistency becomes a little bit too wet, you could always add some more rice flour or plain flour if you wanted to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out the biscuit dough and make it into biscuits or cookies. So I'm just going to grab a piece of the dough. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to just grab some rice flour and spread it over my board to make sure that the biscuit dough doesn't stick. And I'll also put a little bit on the rolling pin as well. And then I'm just going to roll out the biscuit dough like so until it's probably about 1/2 centimetre thick. If you want them quite thick and chunky, then you could always roll it thicker. We quite like them quite thin and crispy in this house, so I always try to roll it out quite thin, or as thin as I possibly can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the cookies and I'm going to put them onto a board, and I'm just going to continue to keep rolling out the cookies until I've used up all of the dough. I've finished cutting my biscuits or cookies, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the oven to 200 degrees, and while the oven is preheating, I'm going to put the biscuits into the fridge, and I'm also going to put the baking trays into the oven at this point as well. I have stoneware baking trays, and stoneware helps to cook food evenly, but it also makes these biscuits really nice and crunchy, and it's better if you put them on cold as well. So I'm going to store these in the fridge for a little while, and that will hopefully help to make them crunchy. If you don't have Pampered Chef stoneware, you can always use a baking tray. Make sure you grease it or put greaseproof paper on it before you put the biscuits on, and that way they will hopefully become quite crunchy if you store them in the fridge for about 30 minutes before putting them in the oven. My oven has preheated and the biscuits have been in the fridge for a good half an hour, and they're lovely and solid now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them onto these warm baking trays. As I said, these are Pampered Chef baking trays, so I don't need to use any extra oil or grease. But if you don't have stoneware, then you will probably need to use some form of oil on your baking tray and maybe a piece of baking paper or parchment paper. So as I said, I'm just going to put these on. So I'm just going to continue to put the biscuits onto the baking trays like so. And then, once all of the biscuits are on, I'm going to put these into the oven. I have finished putting the biscuits onto the baking trays, as you can see, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these into the oven for about 15 minutes, or until they go a lovely golden brown colour. So the top layer of biscuits has gone a lovely golden brown colour, as you can see, but the bottom layer still needs a little bit longer. These have been in for 15 minutes. So I'm going to take these ones out and I'm going to leave the other ones in for another 5 minutes, and then I will take these out and I'll take them both out and leave them to cool. The biscuits have cooled and I left them on the rack to cool completely. They are quite cold now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try one. Oh, and I'm just going to break it like so, just to see if there's a nice crunch, and there is. So I'm really pleased with that. Let's see how it tastes now. That's really yummy. You can taste the orange right at the end when you swallow the biscuit, and you can sort of taste the cinnamon as well. It's delicious. So I'm really looking forward to having a couple of these with a cup of tea this afternoon. That's how you make my delicious orange and sweet cinnamon biscuits or cookies, and that recipe I will link in the description box below for you. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have a couple of these with a nice cup of tea this afternoon. So for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.